I am your host, Leah Dunlap, and you are listening to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance. It's so nice to have you. You know, lots of people understand and know me as the Purpose Oracle, right? The Oracle on Purpose, because I talk a lot about how people develop, find, and follow their purpose. So I'm always curious to talk to my guests about their work and what they're doing. And my first question for you, Jill, is how do you align or find alignment with your purpose and business genius in the work that you're doing today?
Well, that's an easy question to answer because I always call myself a messenger of messengers. I feel that my clients are here to create and have great messages to spread, whatever their business is. And so I'm gifted, that's one of my gifts, is the ability to find that message within their message so that publicity can be easier for them and can get them the kinds of frankly, desires that they want: prospects, profits, recognition, credibility, all of that goodness. And for me, it is a natural gift. And so for me, it's an opportunity to stay on purpose. And then I'm also a natural connector. So I bring all of my resources and the people I know, which is many, and I've been blessed over 25 years to know some great and amazing people. And so I bring that to everybody too. And I'm a great connector. So that's part of my purpose too.
I love that great connector piece, because I know that's how we met was, I attend a lot of events, and so do you. And I know we kind of were floating in some similar events and we're connected to some great people. And so do you think for yourself when you were like, I've been asking this question lately, so I guess I'm throwing it in here as a side question, which is, what did you want to be when you grew up? Was there a part of that, like that being one to connect people? Was that something you always did anyway, even when you were younger?
No, I was actually shy when I was young, which does not, seem congruent with who I am now, because who I am now emerged like a flower. I bloomed as I grew older, as I've done my spiritual work, as I've done my transformational work and stayed focused on becoming better, so to speak. And who's to say it's better or worse? But I do think that and know that I wasn't like this as a child. And funny enough, I actually wanted to be an attorney because in my family, it was a blue collar family. Nobody had gone to college. I thought, well, I'm going to do that because I am purposeful. I wanted to do something of meaning. And to me, being an attorney meant I got well educated and could help people from a perspective of support with what the law provides, until I got to law school. and then I discovered I don't think this is my purpose, even though I really thought that was my purpose. I mean, honestly, since I was probably 14, I wanted to be an attorney, but I think that was more conditioning. I think it was more like that seemed to be an answer, a logical answer in my mind, which at that time was a little more limited with what was possible. And then when I discovered what was possible and staying in my creative self, and that is truly much more who I am, and finding a path, yes, round and about is how I found my path, I think, like a lot of people. But then I got really on purpose and really on path.
I love it. And that's so interesting you bring that up, because I think that you're right. Lots of people in their past, they find this gift, which is the opposite side of their purpose too, right? Like you're saying, you were shy, now you're the connector, but it may be that shyness that allowed you to see the value of connection, really. And yes, I too understand. I think it's great to hear you say, like, you get into a place where you're building a purpose based on an external source, right? Saying this would be a good purpose to have rather than one that's yours. And I love that you came back to delivering what felt more authentic to who you are. And I know that that's a big part of what you said in regards to like being the messenger of messengers. So how do you look at what you do now? And if you thought about it from that perspective of like delivering purpose and having people show up and that visibility piece, as you mentioned, like how do people, as things are changing and life is changing, how do you help people, or how do you suggest people stay visible, even during troubled times?
So a couple things I want you to look at immediately and think about is how can you tie into the message of right now? So if you know anything about stress, anxiety, mental health, if you know anything about how to deal with health and wellness, if you're a coach of many kinds, a lot of my coaches I work with are now shifting their message. If you have a voice for Black Lives Matter, let's talk about that. Like, look at whatever's going on right now and see where you can fit in. Yes, sometimes it may even be a stretch. And let me share with you, I was recently on 7, almost, I think we're up to 8 now, major radio shows, 50,000 watt, what they're called terrestrial radio shows, talking about brands, and Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's changing their brand, and the Dixie Chicks dropping Dixie, which I'm
Oh
not
man,
sure if
that
I,
was fabulous. That was
that was
fabulous.
wild.
Let's talk. Shout out to the Dixies now.
Actually, it's a trip, right? And so here's what you got to know is because I'm a publicity expert, I talked about branding, even though I'm not a branding expert, because the two tie together. So I always encourage people, get a little more expansive with how you're looking at where you can fit in, and use everything you've got, your ethnicity, your religion, your opinion, right? Because your opinion matters. And the truth is, media is actually a lot about opinions.
Oh, I
And,
love that.
so
Yeah.
many people can fit into all kinds of new ways of putting their word out.
I love that. And I think that that's such a great thing to consider is, for me, when I talk to my clients, it's like I totally agree that everybody has their unique life purpose. And the reason it's unique is because of just that. Everything about who you are is part of that. Like it's only yours, and no one else can show up that way. And like you said, everybody has a different opinion, and therefore we want to, learn and grow, and we're interested in looking at different aspects of things. So I think that's fantastic to share that part of that is that's how you get to be more visible, is to really not only hold bigger space, but also to really still show up, it sounds like, with the things that are yours and that are unique to you.
Absolutely.
Love
And
it.
look at the months of the year, look at calendars, look at to see when you fit in. Like my client with breast cancer, even though she's not coaching on that, she can use Breast Cancer Awareness Month to talk about her journey and then into her coaching. So keep getting expansive with how you look at what's possible for you.
I love it. That's so everybody heard that, right? Like I love that. Keep getting expansive of what's pertinent to you. Your unique experience can play into what we call it now. I guess we're calling it like the culture of the moment, right? What's happening in the moment, or what's happening around you in different times. There is a link, as you said, back to you, obviously, because first of all, you're here, you're here. So you have something to say probably on that subject. I love that. And I love that you, as you just mentioned, in regards to like tapping into things that are, you know, who you are, not necessarily what you do, which is what I heard there as regards to having a person who has had the experience of going through breast cancer, but that's not what she teaches, or what her role is, but to know that that's part of who she is. So of course it's going to shape and affect how she shows up in her work. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much. It's a great tip. So as you look at yourself and like how you show up and deliver these resources to people that are looking to be more visible and try to be more visible, whether it's troubling times or not, can you look at that and tell us a little bit about how you see that positive impact of the work that you do, how that's a positive impact on the world right now?
Well, here's what I know. People I work with, like I said, they're messengers. They're people who are committed, wonderful human beings. They might have a product, they might have a service, they might be an author, they might be a speaker, consultant, coach, it might be a chiropractor or real estate. It doesn't really matter, because what I've noticed is there's a consistency amongst people who are committed to what they do, and that is to give their gift to others. Right? And no matter what I consider it a gift, your gift that you're giving to others. And by putting yourselves out there it can be small ways, locally, it can be nationally, internationally, it can be being on multiple podcasts and featured in blogs, it could be on social media and Facebook Live, all kinds of ways. I consider it all publicity. And so here's what I know: as you put your name out there and get, shall we say, matched up with your message, and your message is resonant to who you are, and that is what you deliver, I mean, just the world is your oyster, because what's happening is you're putting your name out there and you're driving that recognition, and that attraction marketing happens because people just start wanting to know who are you and how do I work with you, and where do I sign up, and that lovely trust and important trust and credibility is already established. And that's a beautiful thing. It just makes sales, networking, promoting, which by the way you're all doing anyway, so you might as well be doing it properly and connectedly to who you are, to your soul's purpose, right? Like what your show's about. Be consistent.
Yes, I love that. That be consistent. Share through really what's authentic to you, and I always like be intentional. Be intentional. Be on purpose. Know that you're meeting and making connections. One of the things that popped up as you were talking, and thanks for the Oracle for shouting this question out in the back of my head while you were talking, which was, so many people I know get nervous, like they have an idea, and they have a desire to write a book. I know that that's something that a lot of people I work with, envision that as something they'd like to do someday. But what they get stuck around is like the overwhelm of like, how do they get from, like, many of them don't necessarily want to be self-published, which I know is a big avenue, and I've done it myself, so I know it's great to do. But when they look at like getting to the big leagues or the big, publication houses, they feel overwhelmed. So what do you say to those people who are like, oh, I couldn't ever be published with a real publisher? What I know that's out there for people, so I'm just curious, what do you say when people kind of appear to you from that perspective?
Well, I don't know that you know this, but I actually have been helping people get major book deals with major publishers for over 18 years, all right? Including several who have 6-figure book deals, which is almost unheard of in today's market. And here's, you want to know how that happened? Because they had great publicity, because they had good influence. And so here's what I know, having worked with many people who also want to get a book out. And I believe a lot in self-publishing at times, because I think it's important. What are your goals? What are you doing it for? And then getting help. Nothing good is done without team. In my book, and these are my 4 books behind me, Get Noticed, Get Referrals, I talk a lot about team, because the truth is you need people around you to make things happen. So, I always had team in every one of my books, including, of course, at the publishing house and my editor. And then, of course, I know about publicity, but I would have a publicity team also doing things. I also am really big, and this is for everybody, is plant things 3, 6, and 9 months ahead. So with Profit of Kindness, the reason I was in 7 Fox News interviews in the first week is because we planned 9 months ahead, right? And so one of the things I'm really big on, if you want to have a book, is start planting your seeds now, right? For even small articles, 500-word articles. Start creating that visibility factor so that a publisher would say, yes, you have influence, or it's a topic that's really needed. For instance, I represented a woman, you've probably never heard of her, but it didn't matter because the publisher wanted her story of opioid addiction and how she overcame it, and how she, what she recommends to others. So how-to books usually work. And I think that's really important. So to all you who, I love the fact that you want to put down your story and memoirs, but the truth is, until you're honestly famous, memoirs are not the way to go. But take your story, if that's what you're wanting to tell, and put it more in how-to so that others really can benefit. That will be really beneficial for you.
Oh, thank you. That's such a great tip that, we do. Most people are thinking I have a story, and absolutely there's lessons and value. So if you just focus on the lessons and values, what I'm hearing is that's what the publishers are looking for, is that how to, so that other people, of course, then can benefit from that as well, which of
Absolutely.
course is how that continues to build visibility, and also just knowing that, you know, public relations, and I think you know, being out there and being visible, it's not what everybody's called to do, and yet it is a part of how we and the society, you know, get to know one another and what we're up to, especially as business leaders and coaches and healers, and you know, the people that I work with, leaders that are looking to do really great impactful things. We need to be visible. We need people to know that we're there. So I love that these are great things people can actually take stock of now and start, like you said, plan it out. Know that if that's where you want to go, then you have to start kind of building these seeds. I think that's fantastic. So
Well, can I
tell me,
add one more thing to
yeah,
that?
absolutely.
So the one more thing is, guess what? You're doing publicity anyway. You walk into a Zoom room and the Zoom meetings, you're doing publicity. You show up on social media, you're doing publicity. You're networking, prospecting in new ways that we're doing it now, you're doing publicity. So let's do it the right way with a message that's authentic and who you really are, true to you, right? So that you can say it with confidence and create that kind of beautiful attraction that's really much more natural. And just please know you're always doing publicity. So let's do it right and get the right, well, connections that you want to.
Yes, yes. I often say, look, if you come to me and ask me how to manifest something, I will tell you you're already using manifestation. You're just using it wrong if you're not getting the results you want. Same thing, right? Like if you're already using publicity, it may not be what you want to be promoting. So just be aware of that. I love that. That's a great thing. So tell me, I know that we have kind of tapped into some of these things about how to really get out there, be visible. Of course, you know, to me, and the purpose of doing this is to magnify your purpose and get it out there. And I love that you've talked to us about not only just looking at your story as a memoir, but changing it up and making it about the how-tos of the lessons you learned. And also, of course, that in this environment, we have to kind of be aware of the messages that are out there, the things, the topics that are at hand, and tap into how that aligns to who we are, not just with what we do, but also, like you said, all the things, all the pieces and facets of who we are. So I think those are really great tips. Tell me, what would your final thoughts be that if you left someone now to deliver about how really, what's that one thing that you'd want somebody to walk away with knowing how to stay visible in troubled times? What is that one thing they need to know right
Well, that it's all about your message. And so being willing to shift your message is key. Being flexible with your message is important. And following reporters who also write about your message is really a beautiful tactic. But, you know, don't just like follow them and go, ooh, pick me. You comment with them, you provide good resource, you be a trusted source, you provide solutions, which is part of your message. So this is all the most important part, is get your message down, because that is what creates confidence. That is what creates a viable, visible resource that you can be, knowing what problems you're solving and then having good solutions in the marketplace that people are paying attention and listening to you.
Yes, yes, be clear on your message, because that's where it all stems from, is what message you're sending, who you're serving with that message. Thank you very much, Jill, for being here. I know that you have been very generous in offering, for those people that are listening and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really ready to get going. How do I get going? What do I need to do next? And I know that you've been very generous in offering up a tool to support them in that. Can you tell us a little bit about that tool?
Sure. I actually teach a virtual publicity course. This is no nonsense and get it done. Actually, in a live interactive setting with me, lots of interaction, and most importantly, get it done. So everything from your message to the documents that the press needs to say yes to you, and then templates you can use for any project thereafter. But most importantly, I'm a woman of action and I like to get things done. So we're doing it in the course together. And it's a great virtual publicity course. I don't know should I just let them know how to register?
Yeah, go for it. I was just going to say, we're going to talk about that. You can hear this now, but know that we will have all the links and everything you need. But yeah, go for it. Tell them what they need to
Sure.
do that.
Thank you. And one of the things I'll just tell you is I'm bringing 25 years of getting publicity done without it bogging your mind, but doing it in a simple, easy way. And let me share with you that I'm pandemically pricing this course. And so to get that, what you do is go to publicitycrashcourse.com and put in the code Stay Visible. And literally, a course that used to be over $1,000 is now only $197. To really get it done and make sure it's done the right way, in a systematic way that'll bring you immediate PR attention and get your message right and all the documents you need. Hands down and what I call sleeves up kind of course to really get it done.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you've been scribbling hard to try and get all these, relax, breathe, follow, click on the link that will be below and get yourself registered. Make sure that you take everything that Jill says to heart, all of her wealth of experience and knowledge, so that you can get clear, get your message out, and share your purpose with the world. Thank you, Jill Lublin, so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the work that you're doing in the world to help people be more visible and more on purpose. Thank you again, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye now. Thanks for tuning in to the Oracle on Purpose show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you leaving a comment. Also, you can subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. If you'd like to get clear on your highest vision and next steps, go to oracleonpurpose.com. See you next week.